y'all know I had to speak on this issue. Shout out to Az. He did it was a rant. Let's just call it exactly what it was. And it is, to me, that's him at his best. That's him at his best, talking passionately about various subjects, especially gaming. That's what a lot of people, let's say the industry that a lot of people was introduced to him, heel versus babyface, for you guys that don't know who it is that I'm talking about. And he was talking about Starfield, obviously. And, he had played it he has played almost 20 hours of it. And the context of his rant was just a bunch of different things. Same stuff that we've been talking about on this channel. We've talked about, or other people have talked about on their channels, and what plagues various entertainment forums right now. And as to be expected, usual suspects, as well as all of these just big YouTubers that talk about gaming, had to chime in because, well, it's safe, right? It's the overreacting guy. He's triggered. He's talking about the woke, the anti-SJWs are at it again, because that is the safe position to take, even though there are plenty examples of pro-social justice weirdos spazzing out all over the internet. They don't got shit to say about that because it's not safe. But now all of a sudden they want to grow a nutsack on this on this issue. Let's just say that. I just find that incredible. And I am going to speak on the subject matter in itself, but I just had to get that out the way. Hassan Piker, big shout out to my man's D-Day Cobra, Jeremy. Hassan Piker hilariously now has something to say about it. Sorry, I'm on the wrong thing. He decides he wants to grow a nutsack again, even though, as Jeremy's mentioning, and we all remember this, he didn't want to play Hogwarts Legacy because his audience got mad at him and stuff. Like, you are in no position to be able to talk about, oh, so-and-so's losing his mind. You were too pussy to play a video game because you were scared of your own audience, which that speaks to this whole thing. These guys are as chicken shit as they come. And that's what I'm finding hilarious. Every time it's the safe position. It's so many examples of these folks spazzing out. Leftists particularly spazzing out in the video game industry, the various entertainment industry. They ain't got nothing to say because they know they would get grilled and they're too chicken shit to take that position. It's too dangerous, but it's safe because, well, you're really taking a side of the establishment on this specific issue as it pertains to diversity and inclusivity and equity and all these other damn buzz terms. Let me say this. And by the way, Razorfist had a good thing to say about it as well. I want to give a big shout out to my man because he understands the bigger picture here. And that's just what I think people are losing sight of. Now, look, I'm not knocking anybody that want to have fun playing Starfield. If that's your thing, that's your business. I do think that people are exhausted. I'll acknowledge that as well. Because they've seen a lot of weird stuff plague these industries, a lot of stuff that has infiltrated basically every entertainment asset that was once popular. Definitely the AAA studios and gaming. And with their storylines and stuff. And there's other issues that of course plague the industry as well, but let's talk about that. And a lot of folks want to return to normalcy. Here's the thing. You're not going to get back to normalcy by ignoring away the problem. If you enjoy the game and you think that it's fun, that's okay. And this is the funny thing. Like, they're not talking about what Az had to say in context either. It's just a pronoun. They're not talking about the other stuff it is that he's bringing up. And they're not even really forming an argument against what it is that he said. It's that, hey, look at this guy. He's just passionate and he's screaming and stuff. That's all that they're bringing up. You're not actually making an argument. Now, this is my thing. You cannot ignore this away. If you want to return to normalcy, you can take both positions, right? If you absolutely have to play this game or you just needed a RPG that you wanted to have some fun with, right? So you're willing to ignore the things that, let's say, Az was talking about, or it's just not a make or break for you. You can say that or have that position while also admitting that, well, this goofy stuff is there. Especially with this whole pronoun stuff. People can act like, oh, well, what's the big deal? Wait a minute. Have you not been paying attention? Certain industries and even countries have it to where you in the wrong and maybe even criminal for misgendering somebody. You act like, oh, it's not a big deal that these people are leaning into this nonsense. That's a gaslight. And it always was. Now, my position is a lot more radical, I guess, than even maybe the position of Az and others. Because my position is pull the plug on all this dog shit. Let the independents rise. No, you don't gotta give these guys the benefit of the doubt. Sure, they got a lot of money. They give us something pretty. Screw it. Doesn't matter, right? We don't have to put up with this. That's my position. But I think there are a lot of those who are like, look, man, this is an industry that I like. This is a genre of gaming that I like. I want to play this game. It's the next big thing. I need to get in on it. I want to get in on it. I'm willing to ignore other things. I totally empathize with that. And I also empathize with the exhaustion, right? Where it's year after year after year after year. We're sitting here having these goofy conversations. But check this out. It doesn't end until you acknowledge the problem and deal with it. We all know what's going on in AAA gaming. We've all talked about all these weird departments and stuff that they've invested in. We know what Bethesda especially looks like right now, what they want to prioritize. It is what it is. So it's got to get worse. And I think that's where it's at. Like, definitely, I really agree with Az on this whole thing. Like, oh, man, I'm playing this game trying to get escapism. The last thing I want to be dealing with is current year bullshit. I totally get that. All right? I've said this with games that I played, all right? Even if it's in the sports stuff, last thing I want to see is some stupid end racism shit. It's like, what the fuck? I'm playing a video game, man. And some people don't want to deal with that. A lot of people don't. The thing is it's not going to end until the problem is thoroughly addressed. And we got to be honest. I don't care how exhausted you are. I don't care how tired. Oh, I just want to go back to having fun. We all do. You don't think an ass wants to go back to having fun? Reality is these guys got a lot riding on the message, if you will. And while some are a little more heavy-handed than others, it doesn't mean that it's absent of it. And the problem with it doesn't look, man, I can say this a million times. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over. Problem, you can't solve the problem unless you be honest with it and acknowledge it. You can't ignore it away. I think people are willing to, because they're exhausted, deal with it a lot more. Oh, I just give it up. All right, cool. I just want to go back to having fun. To me, and I'm going to be honest with you, right? I'm going to be honest with you. Even if you say, well, it was just this little thing, I do believe that that's a coward's way out. If you can't at minimum, I'm not saying it's a coward's way out to go play the game. No. I'm saying it's a coward's way out when you are upset at someone for acknowledging what is and then trying to pretend it away like it's not there. That's the cow's way out. That's what I'm saying. I started the Riververse about a year ago, a year and some change, with the intention of fixing problems that plague this industry. It was creative issues. A lot of that quote-unquote woke stuff that people talk about, that was just a symptom. This is a larger problem. And it really stemmed from people not really being passionate and not caring about these characters. So what I did, and what I wanted to do, was create something that was a solution, ultimately. And thanks to these wonderful fans that we have, customers. First, they thought we were a one-hit wonder. Then we backdoored that with yet another multi-million-dollar campaign that we're sending the final orders out for right now. Creative issues and economic issues are what I wanted to fix. And I think that that's going to still have to be the attitude that a lot of people have to have. And this comes from both the customer side as well as the creatives in the event that you want to fix the problems that plague this industry. Now, the good news is it's going to be very hard and very difficult to compete with the mainstream with the amount of money it is that they have. And it's not because of the it's not because of the money it is that they have. And when I talk about competing with the mainstream, I'm not saying, let me say that. I'm saying like from an investment and what looks pretty, right? That's what separates a AAA studio from the others. It's the amount of resources that they're able to throw in. So now you have to convince other customers to buy your product over this new shiny object that they invested millions and millions of dollars in. right? It doesn't matter if it's dog water, or that shiny thing is attached to an IP that you know and love. Right? And I think that's what the appeal of Starfield was. Yes, Bethesda, that's part of it. But it's also like the scale, right? That scale is so hard to compete with independently. Not impossible, though. So people are going to gravitate towards that. That's what you're up against, but doesn't make it impossible. It's not good. These guys are way too invested in what it is that they believe in, right? And they're not going to stop. Front office, back office, the product itself, it's in everything. It's plagued everything. And let me show you this real quick. I want to give shout out to him, Dr. Disrespect. You know, I watch him a lot. You know, I was watching this stream when it happened, when we were in the warehouse. And, you know, he goes and he shows this lead publisher or head of Bethesda Publishing. And he shows he had pronouns in the bio. He's like, oh, it makes sense and stuff. But really what he was, you know, he's talking about how, you know, basically Bethesda kind of rejected him, right? And he's more apolitical, and he has a position. I love what he says. He says politics stay at the video games industry entirely alone, people like this, right? So we know Doc's on our side on this issue, right? But when people that are generally apolitical are acknowledging it now, we know how bad that it's got. So you have people that have always been in front of it that have been talking about it. And then on the other hand, you have folks that have been more we're waking up to what's going on. And the people that were in front of it talking about this for years, some of them are exhausted. Hey man, I just want to have some fun. I get it. But the thing is, that doesn't your desire to have fun is not a virtue, bro. And it doesn't solve jack diddly. I'm gonna end on this note. There's a lot of chicken shits in the video game industry. Everybody takes position. I knew that was gonna happen. Once I saw one guy cover, I'm like, oh, here are these other big gaming YouTubers, right? Who are gonna come in and they're gonna try to take their shots because, well, it's safe. It's gonna be safe to take shots at ass, right? He has the position that you know people find more abhorrent in the industry. Even though he's right, he has the position that most people find abhorrent. So it's safe. When again, we've covered this. People spazzing, doing foul stuff, all in the name of social justice in some cases. And these guys have nothing to say. Nothing. You only take a position when it's expedient. And that can be said for a lot of folks in the entertainment industry, especially in gaming. Bunch of chicken shits.